I consider this to be one of the most important Bitcoin charts. When I look at the 4-year cycle and the halving cycle, this is how I view Bitcoin. Now, this is the bull market phase, and then followed by the bear market phases. These can last anywhere on general from between 80 and 90% decline in value. And then you're looking at an accumulation phase, followed by the expansion, and then into the reaccumulation phase, which so far in each halving cycle has played out up until this halving cycle, because in the reaccumulation phase before the halving, we had what is now known as the liquidity crisis in March, and we saw Bitcoin trade down all the way to 3,800. Bitcoin broke the model and traded down from the low of what the low of the reaccumulation phase should have been, and traded all the way down towards $3,800 during the crisis. Obviously now rebounding, trading around $9,000. Since Bitcoin has broken out to the upside of the reaccumulation phase, this time around, it looks like that Bitcoin will be modeling over here. That is the projection we have on this channel here, that of December of 2020, we are getting close to breaking all-time highs. We are beginning to challenge the 19,000 area. I don't think we break out to new highs before the end of 2020, but it should be early in 2021 we do, and that's when we start looking at this period over here. I want you to focus on what that looks like. I'm going to show you exactly what this looks like on the chart right now, and you're looking at that exact same period where the halving was all the way to the high. I want you to see it really quick once again as you're looking at from right here, the halving period to the high. The halving period to the high. This is the period you're looking at, this full zone. We've now entered the halving period here, right? We're 2 months in, and now we're looking at entering this type of bull market price action that we've seen throughout Bitcoin's history. Forget the fundamentals behind it. I just want you to focus in on a few things. I want you to understand what happened during that bull market phase that we are entering right now. And you could see over here with the halving in July, it wasn't until it was the last week of December that Bitcoin did break out to new highs, and then it broke out really, really well before falling back, testing the broken resistance, confirming it as support. We talk about and see that so often here on this channel. This is the type of signal that we look for with an entry right over there. It's the same thing going forward. You saw during this whole, and again, this is where we're focused on right now. We're going to come, this is it right here. This is it right here. This is the chart you're looking at, and this is the price of Bitcoin as we enter that period. Look at the blue line, that's the bear market. Then you see the halving, and then about 6 months after the halving, that's when things start getting going. You could see that playing out, and here it is playing out again once more. This is going to be known as the COVID opportunity, and it will forever be known as the COVID opportunity, right? And we were there buying. I think anyone who had the ability, meaning they had the available funds and they had those funds on an exchange, I think we're also buying. That's where using leverage trading comes actually to be a huge advantage. And so this is what we're getting to look at over here. We're about to enter this period over here. Once again, here is that same period happening. Then here it is once again. This is, if I zoom out over here, this is that same period. And this is where we're entering. So right now we're talking July. And then you go 2 months out, we're into September. So for all intents and purposes, this is where we are today as we enter July 2020. We're just a couple of months past the halving. What does that look like over here where we are right now, right? Well, let's talk about where we are right here and what's different. What's different is that COVID opportunity, right? We just looked at the COVID opportunity. Here it is again on the chart. Here, you're breaking the expected low range of the cycle of Bitcoin. There's and it happened before the halving. Now as we entered the halving, and regardless that the Federal Reserve is just expanded the balance sheet by $4 trillion, $4.1 trillion, Bitcoin was entering its bull market phase and was going to do this regardless. Now, is it possible that this model over here, which again, this is not my target to the upside, and we'll look at that, right over here, bull market in blue is showing up to $140,000. That seems about right to me. That seems like the market upshooting on the upside. It should be priced more fairly around the $100 $140,000. I think it's going to shoot up, to 140,000 and maybe even break to the upside, considering right now the environment we're in. And that environment is, all of the negative yielding money in the world. The world continues to take on more negative yielding debt. That's further going to help Bitcoin, as well as we're looking at further action from the expansion of the Federal Reserve and their balance sheet in the coming 6 months and year ahead. This is the perfect environment for Bitcoin. It was all happening regardless. Pause over here and just show you, this is what 20,000, 3 to 5 months from now, challenging, 19,000 up here, 18,000. That's what that looks like. From where you are right now at 9,000, you're looking at a move that's coming in the next 3 to 5 months to the upside over here. It's like a tsunami in itself. And from this move over here, a lot of people are going to be doing two things. A lot of people are going to be taking profits, and a lot of people are going to be shorting Bitcoin. It's going to happen. And a lot of traders are going to lose a lot of money. There's going to be people who are taking profit on Bitcoin, and there's going to be people who are also shorting Bitcoin. This is where you should be accumulating over the next 3 to 5 months. Until we break new highs over here, you want to be accumulating Bitcoin, and that means buying it at any opportunity you have, in my opinion. Once we start breaking out to new all-time highs, what about then? What type of positions do we build in? Well, let's take a look at this over here. This is, again, what you're familiar with right now. That's that past bull market cycle. You're seeing this blue area over here, which is on this chart over here. It's this area right here. On the chart right now, it's this whole entire area. And you can see after the initial, breakout, after price broke out to the high, and this is not the high, this is not the all-time high. The all-time high I just put over here horizontally. That's coming in at 1,150. This is what we're looking at here for the all-time high. You could see after we broke out over here, what we did is we did come in pretty quickly. Within a month, we came back in and we actually challenged the all-time high on Bitcoin. So from what we just looked at on Bitcoin going forward today, that could even mean that it's not in January that Bitcoin burst out over here to new all-time high. After Bitcoin went and tested the all-time high, it pulled back 32%. So could you see at some point in 2021, early 2021, Bitcoin coming up, testing, the all-time high, $19,000, and then pulling back, or $19,600, and then pulling back 30%. That would put it somewhere around $14,000, a little less. And that's where you want to be a buyer. We're gonna call that the first pullback. It was the first pullback since price challenged all-time highs, and it was a 30% pullback. Soon afterwards, price did break out to new all-time highs, and then had another 30% pullback. Two 30% pullbacks coming after, a relative, all within the same year, another 40% pullback. That's, were people buying over here, or did you have the mindset to be buying over here? Did you know that you were at the very, very beginning of the Bitcoin bull market cycle, and that all pullbacks like this were an opportunity for you to be sitting here digging in and buying, right? You're going to have that mindset going forward. And after those two 30% pullbacks, you saw then price go on a sharp appreciation. You could look at that over here after it broke out, 1370. It then more than doubled in price, trading all the way up over here towards 3,000. Wow. What kind of move is that? That's a move right there. That is 120% move that just came, within a few months. From there, also, Bitcoin does pull back another 30% over this prolonged period between July 12th to July 24th, 2-week period. We'll go back and we'll look at the lengths of these other periods at another time, but this was from March 8th to April the 25th, right? So this one was about 5-6 weeks. This one is less. So what happened after that? Price then sharply appreciates again, up more than 50%, but then again, another 30% pullback, actually testing the breakout of that resistance over there. That's where it was, right there at 3,000. Price broke above it, came all the way back down, tested 3,000 again, and then the resumption upwards. You have an entry over here, right there, beautiful entry. So then after that, price keeps pumping up. And then at the same time, we have another pullback over here. This one is 30%. This one lasts the least amount of time. It lasted a total of 6 days, a 1 week pullback. It was a pullback of 30%. And then price over here, here's the entry. Price makes the higher high over here. And then from there, it just went parabolic. Bitcoin goes parabolic. This is the top of the market. This lasted a total of, right over here, we peaked out at 19,680. And then you could see that took 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33 days. 33 days is all it took, where Bitcoin went from a price of $6,600 to $19,800. You know, as we're over here right now, if you're thinking, do I wait for Bitcoin to break out to the upside over here? Do I wait for Bitcoin to break 10,400 to buy into Bitcoin? And for some people, maybe they're looking for that type of technical confirmation before getting into this trade, and that's good. But that's not the way that I personally look at it. I'm right now looking at the fact that, Bitcoin just after the halving, this is at the halving, right? Bitcoin traded off 20%. So Bitcoin came off 20%, and then since then it's gone ahead and challenged the yearly high over here, and then it's pulled back 15%. I'm aware from here that Bitcoin could pull back 30% at any time. Bitcoin could pull back 30, 40% while in the bull market. That would put me down somewhere between 7,200. And then also, if we go down to, let's say 39% down here towards 62, I don't see that happening. Of course, if it did, that's where we're looking to buy. And I just wanted you to see that. And I want you to see that. That the perspective is you're somewhere over here right now. So it's like buy and hold as much as you can, and then you're not looking to sell until we start going towards the parabolic phase. And of course, you're not trying to pick the top of the parabolic phase or anything like that. You don't need to. You don't need to pick the top. You'll do your best, that's for sure, as I will. Over here, after that is that bear market, that brutal bear market in Bitcoin. And you can see, Bitcoin went from its high 19,800 all the way down to a low of 3,150. Think about that for a second. Bitcoin went from 19,600 all the way down to 3,200. That it lost 84% of its value, and this took exactly 1 year to occur. And I said, going back to the most important chart in Bitcoin, if we are trading up at around $140,000, and then call it December 2021, trying to do your best as get as close to possible as to the timing. Going back, talking about timing, and we look to the months to the next halving. That's why we're going to be looking at December 2021 as we're looking over here, as we're looking at 31 months perhaps until the next halving. That's when the bull market ends. If you look where we are right now in the process, we're just 2 months. We're 2 months since the bull market phase, that the next halving phase has begun. And if you look at what happens during that next 18 months, that's when you see the red going to where the orange begins turning to yellow. That's where you go from the red to orange beginning to turn to yellow. That's where we're going right now, from the red to the orange beginning to turn yellow. And that puts us around December 2021. What price will we be at? Well, we're gonna see. Why this model over here is not accurate in the fact that it has us peaking out, somewhere around that same time. This has us in the fall, September. Yeah, the high is in October 11th, 2021 at almost $100,000. I don't think that's correct. I think this is actually a better model to be looking at. This is what I believe to be one of the most important charts in Bitcoin. It's the one that I've shared with you the most, and I think it's the one that most accurately illustrates the 4-year halving cycle of Bitcoin. Always be aware of where you are in that entire phase. Right now, that puts us right over here. That puts us right 2 months into the bull market phase. And you could see in the past, whether it's going back just one halving. The one before that, there was no pullback. There was really no pullback. Price actually just really stable and then shot the moon. The first one I don't really like to use because that was pre-halving. That was the pre-first halving. You could see the exact same structure of the market is there. You could see it all clearly as we see it throughout the rest. It's the same structure, but this was pre-first halving. And now here you are going on the 4th cycle, 3rd halving, right? So over here, we didn't see that pullback, and then it shot the moon, pulled back, shot the moon again. This one was a little bit different. This one did have a pullback in the beginning, and it took a while before it went on to new all-time highs. And then from there, it also began shotting the moon a few different times. What is going to happen over here? Well, we have this to lean on, knowing it's more or less in this area where we go from orange to yellow, right? Orange to yellow. That's the time to get out of the market. Just as we know this is the time to get in. So here you are, and if you're watching this, yeah, there's a risk in Bitcoin. I may talk a lot, I may seem really bullish about Bitcoin, but you know, that's because this is the time to be really bullish about Bitcoin. And you're going to see me be bullish about Bitcoin until it's time to no longer be bullish about Bitcoin, and we're entering one of these prolonged bear markets. You see these blue lines over here, or at least the first half of this, because that's when we make that low. We know where we make that low. That low is going to come in about 15 months until the next halving, where we are dark green, and you could see the dark green prints in the past. That's where we want to be buyers. So until then, what happens? Again, look at that prolonged bear market run over here. Look at this 1 year, 12 months. Bitcoin goes from 19,800 all the way down to 3,200. For sure, we're going to be on the sidelines. I'll probably be using BlockFi. At BlockFi at that point, when I go into US dollars into a stable coin, they pay me 8% on those holdings. That's nice. That's what I'm looking forward to somewhere in the fall of 2021. That will be what I'll be doing at that point. I'll begin taking profits and putting that into a stable coin, most likely in BlockFi, because BlockFi actually is paying that 8% interest, which for the next bull market, 12 months, collecting that 8% interest, and then all of a sudden flipping back into Bitcoin, which should be at the low of the cycle. That should be at the low of the cycle. And of course, you have that, going back to the most important chart in Bitcoin. This is that bear market phase. It's in brown. This is the pre-halving. Here's the bear market phase. Here's the bear market phase. And it's at that low of that accumulation channel that is your lowest opportunity during that cycle to buy Bitcoin. That's where we'll go from Bitcoin into stablecoin, right down and collect that through the rest of the next cycle. You just hold Bitcoin. That's the plan. That's the master plan. There's worry that it makes it sound as if there's no risks in Bitcoin. Of course, there's always risk in Bitcoin. Anyone who buys and holds Bitcoin probably understands risks more than anyone else, because you're responsible for your own funds. It's a lot different than using the traditional banking system, a centralized system where through database entries you could either delete or add funds. With Bitcoin, you can't do all of that. It's a lot different. When you own Bitcoin, you have to understand that, as always, at any time owning Bitcoin, it could go to zero. The software could fail and it could go to zero. There's no question about that. People could lose faith and trust in Bitcoin, and then it would go to zero. Would people sell their Bitcoin at zero? And a lot of people are holding Bitcoin until it goes to zero. So think about that one for a second. Right now, we're looking at, it's been 1 year. It's been 1 year since 62% of the supply has moved. All right, we're going to take a look at this chart of Bitcoin and the average person who's been holding Bitcoin for a year. or over. Right over here, you can see right now it's trading at all-time highs of 62%. 62% of people have been holding Bitcoin for at least a year. In that year, we've traded down as low as, let's go to present day. During that, 61% of people are holding Bitcoin right now for over a year or longer. In that included a 61% sell-off in Bitcoin. If that's not going to get those people that are holding Bitcoin for over a year now out of Bitcoin, what do you think is going to get people out of Bitcoin? There is very little, and probably the only thing would be over-leveraged people who are going to get, who get wrecked. A lot of traders lost a lot of money over here. You should have been picking up Bitcoin. This was an anomaly. What you saw happen over there, you saw the COVID opportunity. I love the COVID opportunity over there as it broke the model. As it broke the model to the downside. That was a buying opportunity, but a lot of people lost a lot of money. Here's where we are right now. I have this down all the way at 42%. Do I think that Bitcoin is going 42% down from where it is right now? I do not. I have some orders in. I don't know if they'll get filled. I don't think we're going down, and I don't think we're testing 74, 30% down from here. If you do, are you prepared right now to lean in and buy? Because that's where you need to be buying. As on any pullback is when you're looking to buy during this bull market phase. It's on the pullbacks that you're looking to buy and hold. You're looking not to time it to the top, but you're looking to get out in what will be that bull market phase. We're going to be timing it through how many months to the next halving. We're going to be timing it by price action, and we're going to be able to do our best to try to get out somewhere near the top, but it doesn't need to be the top, but that's why you want to make sure that you are. How much time was this? You basically had really until price was trading all the way up at, let's be a little bit more realistic. Let's say 6,500. Bitcoin went up 3x from this point. Bitcoin went up 3x in 2 months. But this is really this is how long you had to be accumulating Bitcoin. That's going back 1 year. And then I want to see, it's going back 14 months. You have another year. You have another year. Over the next year, go ahead, right? Here's the year. That red is the next year. That red is the next year. Over that next year, you're looking on any type of pullbacks, all right? Here's that year to 6,500 right there. Here's that year, all right? These are your pullbacks, 30% pullbacks. That's your how many did you had? You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 opportunities to go in to get into Bitcoin. Between $1,000 and $4,000, you had 12 months to get into Bitcoin. And more or less, same thing's happening right now. Maybe you have the next 12 months to get in between 9,000 Bitcoin and 30,000 Bitcoin. Maybe you have the next 12 months, the next year. The next year is this period over here, this red period that we're in right now. It's that red period over here. The next year, you have to buy Bitcoin maybe under $30,000. And then from there, we're looking at that run towards $100,000. That's a 3x from over there. That's what you're looking to do. We'll call this the master Bitcoin plan. And that's what it is.